Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ben here. I'm back again today doing another video. And the subject of today's video is going to be on the NFL. And I'm going to be doing a mid-season review of sorts, I guess I'd say. I'll be looking division by division, basically calling out teams that I think surprise me, teams that I think are disappointing, and basically just what my thoughts are overall in the NFL, basically at the halfway point of the season, because most teams have played 8 games or 9 games. So I'll start with the AFC East. So far, this division has gone relatively as expected, except for one team. The Patriots are right where I thought that they'd be, atop the division pretty easily. Um, the Bills are the only surprising team here. 6-2. I expected more like a season where they were gonna finish around like 6-10. But you do have to remember, I think it was like about 4 or 5 years ago, the Bills started like um, 5-1 or something and finished 8-8. So this is a team that looks good right now, but they're not super reliable necessarily. And then as far as Miami and the Jets, they're both 1-7. I think I expected each to be a little bit better, but still not shocked at where they are. As far as the AFC North, I think Baltimore is right where we all expected them to be, sitting atop the division. I expected more like 5-3 rather than 6-2. They're impressing me a little bit more than I thought that they would. Pittsburgh at 4-4. That's actually about where I expected them to be. I think I predicted them to be like 8-8 or 9-7 this year. Um, it's definitely a very unconventional 4-4 though. They started 0-3. They've got Mason Rudolph under center for most of the season. Um, but they are managing with their defense instead of their offense this year actually to be a decent respectable team so far. The Browns are a major surprise at 2-6. I expected them to be around 8-8. They have an easier schedule coming up here and could still finish around 8-8 or 7-9. But I just think they seem pretty demoralized right now. I don't really see that turning out. I'll predict like a 5-11 season from them. And then the Bengals are 0-8. I expected like 4-12, but they're a bit worse than that actually. And Andy Dalton is no longer starting now, so what do you really expect? Uh, let's see here. The AFC South, the Texans at 6-3 are basically exactly the team that I thought that they would be. An improved offense though, which is nice to see for Deshaun Watson. The Colts are a major surprise at 5-3. I think I expected them to go like 4-12 this year, but Brissett has really stepped in nicely, and this team is proving that outside of Andrew Luck, there still is a lot of talent on this team. Jags and Titans are both right around where I expected. Um, Teams that can hang around in games, teams that can win a few, but their ceiling is 9-7 optimistically. Their floor is going to be like 7-9, which is what the Titans always are. So I'm not shocked that they're 4-5. And the Jags have done a bit better than I would expect with Nick Foles out, but still relatively around the same place I would have expected them. The Kansas City Chiefs 6-3, about what I would have expected with Patrick Mahomes out. I think that's very reasonable to be 6-3 right now. As far as the Raiders being 5-4, I'm completely shocked. I think I predicted them to go 4-12 this year. I don't, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not a John Gruden fan, but he's really got this team performing pretty well, and the offense looks pretty good despite a lot of no names. But outside of Derek Carr, honestly, Josh Jacobs has been a really good bolster as a rookie, but yeah, honestly, a lot of no names on this team. The Chargers at 4-6 have been a major disappointment. They've found ways to lose, like most teams find ways to win, but they found ways to lose this year. And the Broncos at 3-6 are exactly what I expected them to be, without much of a quarterback or offense overall, and a good defense still. 3-6 is what you're gonna get. And now on to the NFC. In the NFC East, we have the Cowboys leading at 5-3, right around where I expected. I think I predicted them to finish 10-6, so that's exactly what I thought. Um, Good offense, good defense, good personnel overall, but they are still a little bit limited by Dak Prescott, I think. And I think their defense is good in the front seven, but the secondary is still relatively weak. The Eagles are second at 5-4. Again, about what I expected. I thought that they'd be around 9-7, 10-6. So I think this is reasonable. As far as the Giants and the Redskins, both bad. I didn't predict either team. I don't think to be quite this bad. but Giants are 2-7 and Redskins are 1-8. Redskins have just completely given up on the season, and the Giants are basically saying this is going to be a Daniel Jones development year. So I think each team, they're not happy with their records, but I think they're okay with them. Um, I think the Giants, though, they look a far different team than they were when they were 2-2. Daniel Jones has definitely shown his weaknesses as a rookie so far. In the NFC North, the Packers stood atop at 7-2. I'll have to admit, I'm pretty surprised. I thought that the Packers would be around 8-8 this year, but they've adjusted well to the Matt LaFleur offense. The defense isn't good, but it's not terrible either, in my opinion. They have some decent personnel pickups between Za'Darius and Preston Smith, um, so they're doing all right, in my opinion. The Vikings sit at 6-3. A little bit better than I thought. I predicted them to go 9-7 this year. They're on pace to go like 11-5. Again, a really good depth as far as like when you just look up and down the roster. They have really good personnel, but in big games they struggle, and that's going to inhibit them come playoff time. The Lions at 3-4-1. This is right exactly where you'd expect any Lions team to be. Um, hovering around the 6-10, 7-9 win projection total, which is what the Lions are going to do. Right now, they'd be projected to go I think it would be like 6-9-1 technically would be their projected record. So that's about right for them. The Bears at 3-5 are one of the most disappointing teams in the league this year. Last year they were 12-4. This year being on pace for 6-10 is very disappointing, especially considering that they were 3-1. That's very bad to look at a 4-game losing streak. The defense is still good, but the offense can't do anything. Mitch Trubisky looks bad after coming back from his injury. They're already talking about replacing him next year with maybe like a Cam Newton who will be a free agent. I'm not so sure about that, but as of right now, a very good defense, a very limited offense, and they're really going to need to shake things up in the offseason because they're definitely out of it as far as this year goes. NFC South, we've got New Orleans leading the division at 7-1. Very good without Drew Brees. He missed 5 games and they went 5-0. That's highly impressive. Teddy Bridgewater's proven himself as one of the best backups in the league. Outside of the Saints, who I think we all knew were going to win this division, Carolina's been pleasantly surprising at 5-3. Kyle Allen's leading the way pretty well with Cam Newton out. Kyle Allen this year reminds me a lot of Case Keenum 2 years ago. Like, is this fool's gold? Yeah, probably. He probably can't sustain this long term, but I think that it's good to see that he is at least performing for now pretty well, and we'll see where this team goes. Maybe a playoff berth. Tampa Bay at 2-6 is a little bit worse than I think what most people were thinking. I think they were in like the 6-10, 7-9 range as far as what most people thought. So they're a little disappointing to me. And the most disappointing team to me in the NFL, the Atlanta Falcons, 1-7. I predict this team to go 12-4. If you look at their roster before the season, they had arguably the best offense in the NFL, and their defense wasn't bad. They had good personnel. They had Deion Jones. They had Vic Beasley. They had Ricardo Allen. They had another good safety whose name is Keanu Neal. They had Desmond Trufant. It was not a bad defense, and it's perplexing to me that they've gone 1-7 this year and just looked awful. And a lot of it's been at the feet of the defense because the offense has put up like around 30 points per game, but the defense gives up like 34 points per game or something ridiculous like that. So they're definitely the most disappointing team to me in the NFL. Following that up, I'll talk about the most impressive team to me in the NFL, definitely the most surprising, the San Francisco 49ers at 8-0. I thought they'd be 6-10 this year. I saw 8-0. I never would have seen 8-0 coming. The defense looks stupendous. The offense looks good, but I'm still not sold on Jimmy G. I still think he's closer to game manager rather than franchise quarterback. He hasn't really proven much to say that he is much more than a game manager. I think his touchdowns to interceptions are maybe like 10-6 or something like that, which isn't great. But yeah, picking up Emmanuel Sanders will help. and they have probably the best running back core in the NFL between Tevin Coleman, Matt Breida, and Jerick McKinnon when he gets back from injury. Outside of them in their division, the Seahawks at 7-2 are pretty impressive. I think a bit better than most people thought that they would be. The Rams at 5-3 are like a good team this year, but super quiet just because their division is so good. They're not even gonna be a playoff team, and they're projected to be 10-6, which is really weird. And then lastly, the Cardinals, as the last team to round this out, have been surprisingly good this year. They're last in the NFL in turnovers, which for a team with a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach is really impressive. I like Kyler Murray's development a lot, and they look pretty promising so far. They could maybe turn around and next year have like an 8-8 record. Who knows if Murray develops properly. So that's all I got for today, guys. Just a brief overview of how each team in the NFL is doing midway through the season, sort of comparing what expectations were to how teams are performing. I thought it's interesting to take a look and see how everybody's doing. My big takeaways: the most disappointing teams, the Bears and the Falcons. The most surprising teams, the 49ers and the Bills. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment if you have any thoughts on the NFL season so far, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.